Dads, what did you do when you caught your teen daughter sneaking a boy into her room? I discovered my daughter Harley was sneaking a boy into her room every night when I checked our Ring camera footage looking for a package thief. Instead of finding someone stealing Amazon boxes, I found Zachary Vaughn climbing through her bedroom window at 1 a.m. like some wannabe Romeo. This kid was bad news with his vape pen hanging from his mouth and pants sagging below his tiny pepino and gumballs. I knew Zachary from around the neighborhood. He was 19 and still hung around the high school parking lot trying to impress freshman girls with his souped-up Honda Civic. Last month I'd seen him get arrested for shoplifting energy drinks from the gas station. He'd also been fired from 3 different fast food jobs for showing up high. This was definitely not the kind of guy I wanted near my 15-year-old daughter. The footage showed this had been going on for 2 weeks straight. Every night at the same time, Zachary would climb the tree next to Harley's window and slip inside. They'd stay in there with the lights off until about 4 a.m. when he'd sneak back out. My blood was boiling, but I knew if I confronted Harley directly, she'd just get defensive and keep seeing him in secret. I spent the next few days planning my approach while pretending I knew nothing. I watched Harley at dinner acting like the perfect daughter while knowing she was lying to my face. She'd say she was tired from studying when really she'd been up all night with that loser. I had to bite my tongue when she asked for money for school supplies that I knew she was probably spending on whatever Zachary wanted. On Friday, I put my plan into action. I went to the grocery store and bought the most expensive steaks they had, along with all the fixings for a romantic dinner. I set up our dining room with candles and Harley's mom's good china that we only used on holidays. I even bought fancy cream sodas in glass bottles and put them in ice buckets like they were champagne. That night, I waited in the kitchen watching the Ring camera feed on my phone. Right on schedule, Zachary appeared at 1 a.m. climbing up the tree in his usual uniform of ripped jeans and a wife beater. I gave them 20 minutes to get comfortable, then headed upstairs with the biggest smile on my face. I could hear giggling and rustling sounds coming from Harley's room. I knocked twice and opened the door without waiting for an answer. Harley shrieked and pulled her blanket up to her chin, while Zachary literally fell off the bed trying to pull his shirt back on. They both looked at me like I was about to commit murder, but I just stood there grinning like I'd won the lottery. Perfect timing. Dinner's ready downstairs. I made steaks, I said in my most cheerful voice. Harley's face went from terrified to confused, while Zachary just sat on the floor with his mouth hanging open. Neither of them moved, so I clapped my hands together and added, "Come on now, don't let it get cold. I've been cooking all evening." They followed me downstairs in complete silence. Harley kept trying to catch my eye, but I just hummed to myself like this was totally normal. Zachary was stumbling over his own feet and pulling at his shirt like he was trying to stretch it down to cover more. When they saw the formal dining room setup, they both stopped in their tracks. I pulled out Harley's chair like a gentleman and gestured for Zachary to sit across from her. Then I served them perfectly cooked steaks with roasted vegetables and mashed potatoes. I poured their cream sodas into wine glasses and sat down at the head of the table still smiling. The silence was so thick you could cut it with the steak knives. "So, Zachary, tell me about your college plans," I said while cutting into my steak. He mumbled something about taking a gap year, which really meant he dropped out of community college after 2 weeks. I kept asking him questions about his job, his car, his family. Each answer was worse than the last. No job, car was his mom's, dad was in jail. Harley started really looking at Zachary for the first time. She noticed how he chewed with his mouth open and used his hands instead of the napkin. She saw him pocket the silver salt shaker when he thought I wasn't looking. She watched him struggle to cut his steak because he was holding the knife wrong. The romantic filter was coming off fast. The dinner lasted an hour, and by the end, Harley couldn't even look at Zachary. When he tried to whisper something flirty to her, she actually leaned away from him. I offered dessert, but Harley quickly said Zachary needed to leave. She walked him to the front door, and I heard her say, "Don't come back to my window. Don't text me. We're done." After he left, Harley came back to the dining room where I was clearing plates. She hugged me and whispered, "Thanks, Dad." We never talked about it directly, but she started leaving her window locked at night. 6 months later, she started dating a nice boy from her AP chemistry class who actually came to the front door to meet me. I wouldn't mind if they explored their chemistry together, with lab safety, of course.